Howdy everyone, welcome once again to beautiful Foothills Park, Palo Alto, California. And I'm going to take you guys that way on a hike of the Trancos Trail. It's one of the longer trails here in the park, and usually my daughter's kind of intimidated by it, I think, so she's usually chooses not to, but since I'm going lone wolf today, we'll hit up that trail and we'll see how far I get. So you guys have seen this hike already, so I'm going to pause here and catch up at the trailhead. So you guys have seen this Fire Road hike. It's about a half mile that way into base camp, and we're not going to go that way. We're going to take a detour that way and hit up one of the longer trails in the park. So let's hoof it in here and take it that way. So here we are. That's where we came from. And that is where we're going. So I apologize for the crappy audio. One of these days I'm going to have to get an outboard dedicated microphone attachment for the iPhone. Hopefully improve that audio quality, but for now we've got to make do with this. Holy moly. Okay, what is that? So that is really cool. I don't recall seeing one of those last year. It's always fun to come back here after the winter and see how everything's grown in. And good morning. Hi. Is it still morning? I know. And you're walking through single track like this, you quickly realize human beings, at least physically, we're just not the top of the food chain out here. We're slow, we're lumbering, we get tired, we get hungry, we get thirsty. We need to carry knives, binoculars, compasses, first aid equipment. In some states when it's legal, you guys carry sidearms. We do all these things so we can be near the top of the food chain physically. And it kind of works, I guess. It gives us a sense of satisfaction as a species. Wow, this place is overgrown a lot of green still. Nothing's dry yet. So most of this is kind of uphill. So I apologize if I'm short of breath. I'm out of shape too. I've been fat and lazy all winter for the most part. So if I shut up, it's not because I don't have anything to say, it's because I'm short of breath. Just beautiful trails out here today. My first time out here going lone wolf, actually. Usually plankton. My daughter's with me, or my son, but not today. The first stair climb of several. Hi, good morning. Pretty good. How are you doing? Good. Just another opportunity for a quick photo shoot, so to speak. Give me to catch my breath. Got a long flight of stairs through some pretty heavily wooded oak forest. Alrighty, let's hoof it on up. So here's a really cool erosional effect that you don't see too often. How the rocks have shielded the earth from rainwater erosion, and they're now sitting on top of little pedestals from the erosional effects and gravity coming down. That is really cool. That is really, really cool. This will probably break down over the summer as the earth dries, but because it's still kind of damp, you can see little rocks sitting on top of eroded pedestals of earth. That is really cool. Wish my daughter were here. Wish Plankton were here to see this. Something you don't get to see every day in the suburbs of Palo Alto, where we live. Alrighty. So that's where we came from. And we will continue. So we've made it about 0.6, 0.7 miles in, and it looks like we're opening up here. The oak forest canopy is starting to open up. You can tell immediately by the grass on the ground, the type of foliage growing, whereas previously back this way behind us it was a lot of fern and that kind of thing in the shaded oak canopy. So it looks like we're coming out on a clearing. Old man's beard pretty much everywhere now. So this stuff, and this is actually a fairly small bit of it, it usually hangs down a little bit thicker than that. That stuff will catch a ferrocerium rod quicker than anything out here that I haven't brought in with me. So if you ever get in a situation where you need to start a fire, that stuff is your go-to substance. So here we are. There's a lot of grass and rolling fields coming up, and that's usually how these hills work. You'll pop in and out of areas of dense forest and open fields. This is a fire road. Okay, again, we're in a drought season. A lot of fire danger out here, and fire roads are fairly common in a lot of the California foothills, actually. And a lot of single track here in this particular park and on this trail. And you notice I'm not climbing anymore either. Well, I'm climbing very little. So we're at the crest of a fairly exposed hilltop. Foliage is changing considerably, and I'm actually headed back down now, it looks like, into another valley. Oh yeah. Warmer too now. And drier, much, much drier. And that's where we're going. A lot of downhill section now. Earth is pretty packed, pretty firm footing. On these steeper declines, it's a good chance to work on the mechanics of your mobility. So when you're scaling down these steeper slopes, you want to make sure the heels of your boot or your sole or your tread, make sure that heel digs in firmly into the earth, and you roll your foot heel to toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. And it's almost a rolling kind of an action that you want to train your body to do. I do that all the time. My first hike of the summer season, mentally you have to kind of train yourself to do that. I see a lot of scouts, and my daughter included, they just bound. They literally run and skip and hop and bound, and it's just a lot of wasted energy. It can be dangerous if you slip and fall. You know, these trails aren't that treacherous or that dangerous, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Here's a nice view, vantage point. That is probably some of the most expensive land in California, San Francisco Bay Area. Those are the, I think we're east of Los Altos. I'm sorry, west of Los Altos, those hills there. So one of these days when I hit the lottery and make my millions, for now, I'm just going to enjoy what I have. And that to me is the Secret to happiness. Want what you have, don't have what you want. And this is a great hike. Really enjoying this. Now, I'm not going to be so happy coming back up this hill, okay, but I'm not expending a whole lot of energy right now, so I should be fine with that. Just another gorgeous view. And this is why I come out here. This is why I take my kids out here. This is why I come out here. If I could only get my wife to come out here with us, that would make it all the more enjoyable. And we'll continue. So we're definitely out of the oak forest now, and we're scaling down. This trail is kind of annoying. Not much footing, and it's got a deep rutted drainage thing going on. Good thing I got my boots. Don't want to twist an ankle up here. Actually, I can hear a lot of voices down there too, so we're definitely not too far out of civilization. At least not now. And every now and then, you get to see something that just blows me away. Something so delicate to be out here thriving without a worry in the world. That is just truly awesome. That's truly awesome. So one dangerous thing that I haven't been doing is I haven't been orienteering myself very well, which is really, really silly, and I should know better than that. I should be tracking my direction, my heading, where I'm going a little more diligently than I have been. So data point number one, lesson number one of the season: never lose your sense of direction. Back in the shade of another forest here. Really cool. One thing missing from this whole adventure is wildlife. Not seeing a lot of lizards. I'm hearing grasshoppers clicking around off in the fields, but not a lot of lizards. Butterflies. I guess it's too early in the season for butterflies. I saw one. Either that or I'm huffing and puffing and I'm stomping around and I'm scaring away every form of living life around me. That's a very likely scenario too. Like I said earlier, I'm not the top of the food chain out here. Those wildlife can detect me long before I can detect it in its various forms. There's an owl that lives at least back in the campsite. You hear it. We hear it every once in a while. He frequents the campsite. And he comes out late at night to hunt. Another beautiful wide open field. Awesome. And I'm curious to see where I end up here, so let's keep going. I'm not tired. I've been short of breath a couple of times. That's my own stupidity and my own fault for not pacing myself better, given how out of shape I am. But I feel fine. Legs have a lot of strength left. That's the other thing you want to do when you're out here. Always monitor your body strength. How tired you are, how fatigued you are, how hot you are. Regulate your clothing. Peel down layers of clothing. Obviously you want to stay hydrated and drink your water. And we're coming up to some sort of road. I'm not sure what road that is. And I wouldn't be surprised if I end up there. So let's keep going. There's a better example of some old man's beard. all over the place in this particular tree, and actually this particular whole area is just draped with the stuff. Actually, isn't Sherwood Forest? Someone correct me on this. I'm a little bit outdated on my classic literature, but isn't Sherwood Forest? It's haunted, but one of the reasons why people thought it was haunted was because it had ghostly kind of figures swaying in the breeze and stuff. I think some of that must have been an old man's beard or something very similar. Someone out there in YouTube land correct me on that. It's been a while since I've read that story, but maybe I'll have to Google search it or something when I get home. Sherwood Forest, is it truly haunted, or is it just old man's beard? Holy moly! Okay, so this is cool. Oh man, my camera's not capturing it, but just a sheer drop into a deep, deep valley. And I wish you guys could be here right now. Really sucks, kind of. I love doing lone wolf hikes, but it kind of sucks that I'm alone and I can't share this with somebody. But that is quite a view down there. Our first bridge crossing coming up, a small one. So again, no rivers or free-flowing water. This is basically storm runoff, erosional effects that you're seeing here. But a nicely made bridge, and it's not numbered. Oh, it is numbered. Okay, Los Trancos Bridge. There we go. Bridge number 20. There we go. So we're not too far off trail. I think we're on the outskirts. We're on the outskirts of the park actually right now. So that way is going away from the park that we entered on, and that way, if you can imagine it, is. So that's kind of where we're going. This entire trail borders Foothills Park, and we're kind of on the outer rim of that right now, which is really cool. God, I wish my daughter were here to see this. I wish Plankton were here to see this. She would love this. It was a pretty strenuous hike to get out here, so a lot of uphill, downhill. I'll have to get her out on the trails more and build up her stamina a bit. But we are on the outskirts of the park right now, and this is really, really cool. Just a deep ravine, dense oak forest, and I'm telling you right now, man, the sun hitting me across my back, across my body, it's just really boosting me. It's pushing me along. Man, I'm not a morning hiker. I like hiking when it's blazing hot, and as long as it's not above like 104, 103, I can pretty much manage pretty well. So I'm wearing like Under Armour athletic wear. No cotton out here. Don't wear cotton out on the trails. That's the biggest mistake a lot of novice campers make is in hike. Oh, what is this? Hey, this is cool. We got something going on here. Hang on, hold that thought. Be careful. Active bees in the area. Oak tree on your right. Ah. Okay. I thought I heard some bees back there, so we'll leave them alone. Hey, as crazy as it sounds, there's not a lot of danger out here, but a beehive, you stumble into a beehive, yeah, that's one place you really don't want to be. Drum roll, please. So anyways, what was I saying? I forget what I was saying. Maybe I'll recover my train of thought later. So lesson of the day: avoid beehives, especially if you're like me and you're fairly allergic to them. Now, we don't have those really nasty African bees or whatever that is, or at least not that I know of, so pretty confident out here. I'm not in any kind of danger. Hey, another bridge crossing. Very cool. And any guesses what bridge number this one is? You guessed it. If you guessed 19, you guessed right. And we are definitely on the outskirts of the park right now. That is a really deep ravine. I'd be surprised if there's a way for me to get across that. Well, maybe there is. Who knows? So here is the crossing point that I just talked about. About 5 minutes that way. So I believe we're at a crossing point with this bridge here. Bridge number 18. I'm not going to show you the marker, but you'll have to take my word for it. It's bridge number 18, and we're going to go up this way. So one of the ways you can tell how far off you are, well, A, obviously, is with the map, but B, is by the earth and the terrain. So there's no footprints here at all. And this ground is relatively undisturbed. So you see a lot of little plants growing, weeds growing, and things of that sort all along the trail. So we're not in an area right now with a lot of heavy foot traffic. Really, I mean back behind us, you know, periodically I'd see a lot of footprints and Nike symbols and Reebok symbols and stuff like that, but not seeing that now. So here's one of the coolest plants out here. And anybody out there in YouTube land can tell me what this plant is, tree is, I guess. I'd be most grateful. It's got a really brick red bark. Kind of like a vine almost. Tends to wind its way around rocks and other formations. Howdy! How are you? More hikers going past us. Old man's beard too. A lot of that out here. Some moss on here as well. Very cool. Skipped over a few bridges along the way, and that's supposed to be Los Trancos Bridge 14. At least that was it at one point. Looks like it's been destroyed. I don't see any signs of it. Looks like they moved it and excavated it out of here. Either that or it's way down there somewhere. So keep going. Making our way, progressing around the park. Those of you with kids, I thought I'd take a moment here to share a revelation that I've had with my own kids. Those of you with kids and you want to get them outdoors and get them to appreciate all that we have here. Biggest fear is getting them over their own fears of the boogeyman and whatever other little phobias or semi-phobias they might have. Got to remember, from their perspective, the world is huge, and all this stuff is larger than life in their minds as their brains process whatever they come across. Like, everything is bigger than life, larger than life. It could be something as simple as footprints in the earth that I showed you earlier, or lack thereof, and that's bigger than life. Oh, we're somewhere where no one else has been in a long time. You know, that's a big thing. And to that, I think the only real way to solve that and get them over those fears is just to keep exposing them. You know, like Plankton used to be really scared of steep climbs and steep hill sections, and she slowly got used to that. And with exposure. So moaning, creaking oak trees that make weird noises off in the distance, you know, boogeyman again, you know, just getting them over that fear, you know. So once I explained it to her why the trees make those sounds, she was fine with it. And oh, I hear a water source. How about that? In the midst of a horrible drought, we've got a running creek. Awesome. Now, I don't have anything with which to filter or process water. Shame on me for being so unprepared. Actually, I take it back. I have some iodine tablets in my pack. That's part of my emergency kit. I never go anywhere without an updated, up-to-date, so to speak, bottle of iodine. Actually, iodine tablets have an expiration date on them, so you want to keep track of that. That's one thing you should replace once every season or before every outdoor season that you might have. So, heaven forbid you get into a really bad situation where you have no water with you. A, you can boil if you bring fire making equipment and water boiling equipment, but B, you can also treat your water. So I just use the old-fashioned iodine tablets. Yeah, it tastes kind of funky, but in a pinch it's better than being thirsty and dehydrated, and dehydration sickness, that's pretty miserable. So, you know, I'm seeing this a lot of deadfall. So clearly the rangers haven't been through here this winter. And we're coming up here on a creek. And an old rusted sign that says trail this way. I think that just leads down to the creek. Let's follow this. Let's see where this goes. This looks like it leads down to the creek. I'll follow this for a little ways. Oh, I wish Plankton were here to see this. I've been telling her all along that we don't have running water up here. She would really get a kick out of this. She loves it when Daddy's wrong, by the way. Kids love it when their parents are wrong. I don't know why. They get a big kick out of it. Awesome. Middle of another drought here in California, and I stumble upon this. I would totally boil that and drink that if I were in a pinch. I would iodine treat that and consume that if I were really desperate, but nope. If it were really hot, I would actually go down there and dunk my shirt in that and soak my shirt. Is that what I was going to tell you? In fact, if you're out here with cotton is the sin out here. I don't know how that didn't come across right, but if you're out here out on the trails and trying to enjoy the outdoors like this, cotton is the one fabric you don't want to be wearing because it just gets wet and it stays wet. It doesn't dry, and when it is wet, it just traps in moisture against your body, and that's your body's thermal regulation. It's perspiration and evaporation. So along this line here, this is a gold mine here. If I were really in a situation where I was hot and overheating, I would take my Under Armour shirt and soak that, put that right up against my skin, and it would drop my body temperature down to a very comfortable level with evaporation. Cotton doesn't do that. When cotton gets wet, it kind of stays wet and lingers wet, and it traps heat, basically. So, anyways, we'll keep going. And I'm back up here to the junction. The old rusted out sign that says Liart. So, no mosquitoes. And I would like to know what the source of this water is, actually, because I didn't think we had a water table or a water source here. And sure enough. And where there's, I was saying earlier how there's no wildlife, no forms of life. Well, sure enough, within 10 seconds of spotting water, where there is water, there's life. Water is life. Got some bugs over here, skipping across the water. A huge banana slug. I wonder what their defense mechanism is. I know things that are brightly colored are generally poisonous and dangerous. I wonder if there's something in that guy that's been protecting him all these billions and billions of years. Why this guy still manages to thrive today in 2015. Not a lot of kids out here. So if this were readily accessible, you'd see stuff all over the place. You'd see rocks built up in little dams and water bottles and debris. Now granted, people in Palo Alto are really conscientious about pollution and things like that, but not a lot of signs of people being out here. So again, my footprints are pretty much the only ones out here that I can spot readily. But that's awesome. Shall we continue? Yeah, let's continue. I'm sure there's some more things to see up here. The farther along, the farther we go. Making progress. Progress is good. I like progress. Coming up on bridge 13. Still within close range, close proximity of our creek. You know what, this is probably a good time for me to pause, take a break, eat some granola bars, and kick back a bit. Decided to stop, take a lunch break, and stupidly, big dummy me, I forgot my map. I forgot my trail map. This park is pretty well mapped out, and I forgot my map, so I don't really have a sense of bearing and how far out I am. Who knows? I could be not too far, but either way, bridge number 13 is that way. And I decided to hoof it on back and do a double back, and it could be going the long way around, but who knows. Lesson learned: never hit the trails without your trail map. That's alright. I get to go back and see everything again, this time from the reverse angle, so no big deal. Plenty of time left in the day. It is a little after 1:30, or not quite 1:30 yet. So I have my granola bars. I still have 2 more granola bars in my pack, and I still got about 2 liters of water with me, so no big deal. We will continue on. So we're headed back. We're still on Los Trancos Trail, and made the decision to do an out and back instead of a loop, simply because I don't have a trail map with me, and shame on me for not being prepared, but what the hell. I'll save that for the next adventure, and I'll bring you guys along with me too for that one as well. Made it to bridge 13, and we're doubling back now. I don't mind doing an out and back hike. I enjoy out and backs. For me, so we're now on bridge 15, which you've seen already. And oh, okay, here's a good example. When I came out, I didn't realize there was water under this bridge. So somewhere up there is a water source that I don't know about. So usually when I do an out and back, I film coming out, and on the way back like this, I don't do too much filming. It gets me to enjoy the scenery and enjoy the hike a little bit more that way. So we'll continue back on to base camp, and we'll wrap up there. So we're on our way back, making progress. Wild Horse Valley is that way, down into the campsite where I parked, and we'll continue. So we're back down into Wild Horse Valley now. I want to thank you guys for sitting through this, and hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to comment, post, and subscribe to my channel.
So the lesson here today, at least that I learned, was bees, you need to take them seriously. If there's a hive out there and a warning sign, take it seriously. Get through that area of the trail as quietly as you can and as quickly as you can. Because by the time I doubled back through bee territory, that hive was swarming and it was pissed off. And I was basically running through that area of the trail. And it is a truly, truly adrenaline terrifying experience being out there in a swarm of bees. And man, I hope I never have to go through it again. I want you guys to learn that lesson and stay safe out there and enjoy the outdoors, everyone. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.